is this game more important for, Baker or OBJ?
Believe it or not, usually you would say a quarterback. In my estimation, I think for this particular game, it'll be Odell Beckham Jr. Guys, he's got a combined 10 receptions in the last 3 games. He had 6 receptions for 56 yards 3 games ago. I think that was against, let me look right here. I think it was against the Rams. And then he had 2 receptions against Baltimore and 2 receptions against San Francisco. So much so that you had, Freddie Kitchens desperately trying to get him involved and acclimated in the offense. You had him throwing a pass. You had him doing running plays. You had all of this stuff going on. He's trying to do anything he can to get Odell Beckham Jr. involved in the action. The reason why I say that is because without him involved, you have to wonder when his temperament is going to settle in. He wants to win. He cares, no doubt about it, but he wants to matter as well. And he's becoming more and more insignificant in terms of his level of production in the offense of things with the Cleveland Browns while they're losing. When he exploded, even though it was against the Jets, they won that particular game. Obviously, he didn't have to do that against Baltimore because they had their way. But you got Landry there, and Njoku's ultimately going to be back. Kareem Hunt ultimately is going to be in the mix once he comes off the suspended list. And obviously, you got Chubb already there. If you don't get Odell Beckham, if you don't figure out a way to get Odell Beckham Jr. involved now, I don't know when you'll be able to do it. And because we know how frustrated he can be when the combination of inactivity along with failure, meaning the team is losing, ultimately affects his temperament and his willingness to express himself. We have to take all those things into consideration with this relatively young squad, devoid of any veterans to sort of reel things in, and take that into consideration, understanding what kind of detrimental effect that could potentially have on Baker Mayfield as well. I think it's very, very important that they get Odell Beckham Jr. involved this weekend, quick, fast, in a hurry, before things really snowball out of control.
If there was ever a player who could throw himself the ball, it's Odell Beckham Jr., who has a hell of an arm. But even he can't get himself the ball in reality, Stephen A. That's up to Baker Mayfield. And the reason the pressure's on Baker right now to produce more than Odell, it's more important for him, it's a bigger game for him, is there's a question right now out there. We debate it on this network all the time. Is Baker really a baller? That's what people are asking. Is he a baller? He looked like one throughout his college career, especially late, and by the way, throughout the second half of last season. But is he a mid-pack quarterback, or even that? Or is he a baller? Let me tell you something that no one's ever asked about Odell Beckham Jr. Is he a baller? Like, next to baller in the dictionary, there's a picture of Odell, you know? He is a baller to the core. That is not necessarily the case with Baker, at least in terms of perception. He needs to demonstrate that. To your point about getting Odell involved, look, I actually think if Odell's numbers aren't big because they're doubling him, they're bracketing him, whatever, as long as Baker's getting the ball to other dudes, right, then Odell, I believe, will actually stay quiet if they're winning. What I think it'll be a problem with Odell, but not just Odell, is if Odell is using up 2 guys in terms of the resources of the other defense, and Baker's still not completing plays into other dudes on a team of ballers, then maybe you have a problem. But even then, that's not an Odell problem. That's a Baker Mayfield problem. I believe Baker Mayfield is a baller. Kitchens has got to put him in a position, and he's got to deliver. He's got to start showing it. That's the biggest thing in this game for the Browns.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go with Baker Mayfield. It just, when I watch Baker Mayfield, it looks like he's not seeing the field like he was, particularly towards the end of the year last year. He's having costly turnovers, interceptions, and you're sitting there thinking like, okay, where was Baker Mayfield going with the football? And I think a lot of that has to do with Freddie Kitchens has to do a better job of designing easier throws for Baker Mayfield to really get his confidence going. Remember, at the quarterback position, a lot of it is about confidence. And with Baker Mayfield, a lot of times, once he gets going and gets hot, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. So they need to do a better job designing plays, get him going early, and obviously incorporating Odell Beckham Jr. into the equation will help him out significantly. But You got to understand, people know how explosive Odell Beckham Jr. is. They bracket, they do different things to try to take him away. But ultimately, Baker Mayfield has to see the field a lot better in order for this thing to really get turned around. Because, like you said, this thing is going to spiral out of control quickly if they don't get this thing going.
Well, listen, obviously, he can't throw it to himself and the quarterback has to do something. But what I'm alluding to is the detrimental impact it will have if they lose. And on top of all of that, Odell Beckham Jr. continues to be essentially unproductive, possibly through no fault of his own. We've seen Odell Beckham Jr. in New York City. We've seen him screaming to himself on the sideline. We've seen him be open. We've seen Eli Manning can't get him the ball. We've seen them lose games. The combination of it all snowballed to a point where the New York Giants organization made the decision this guy was not best for our culture. Now, obviously, we all believe the New York Giants were wrong, that Odell Beckham Jr. was done wrong, that Odell Beckham Jr. should still be in a New York Giants uniform. We also look at the fact that they've got talent around him that makes us say, excuse me, Odell Beckham Jr., even with this talent around him, he's the best. The bottom line is that there's nothing that shows it here. You got back-to-back games with 2 receptions. You got 3 games with a grand total of 10 exceptions. You've got not one single time this year have they put together back-to-back wins. Now, they haven't put together back-to-back losses either, but they haven't put together back-to-back wins. At some point in time, something's going to have to give because we're not talking about the dude's skill. We're talking about his temperament because he does want to win and he does care and he is emotional and he knows how great he can be. You can't continue to have him out there missing opportunities to capitalize off of his greatness and expect this dude, particularly after being shipped from New York to Cleveland, to just sit by and take it.
Thank you so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.